Extra bases pitcher Chris Young became a vice president for the league, working under Joe Torre, within weeks of playing in the Padres spring training camp. May 19, 2018 image. Chris Young, who was suspended after throwing a punch at the Cubs' Derek Lee in 2007, now has a job in the commissioner's office that requires him to deal with discipline issues. Among other things, Young said he regretted the punch, especially now that my kids are old enough to Google that. Credit M.L.B. Associated Press. Chris Young could have been a Chihuahua in the Pacific Coast League. Instead, he became a vice president for Major League Baseball. When the San Diego Padres told Young in March that he would not make their opening day roster, they offered him a chance to pitch for the El Paso Chihuahuas, their Class AAA affiliate. Young could have tried to squeeze his way back to the majors for a 14th season. His stuff had felt crisp in spring training. "I thought there was a little bit of juice still left in the lemon," he said by phone on Monday. But at what expense? When life gave him lemons, Young came to baseball's aid. Unwanted by the Padres, he was eagerly welcomed by the commissioner's office. Major League Baseball hired Young this month as vice president for on-field operations, initiatives and strategy, and he works out of the league's Park Avenue office in Manhattan. "We were all blown away, everybody from the commissioner on down, with his demeanor, intelligence, composure and passion for the game," said Dan Halem, MLB's deputy commissioner for baseball administration. "We all knew we had to hire him." Young, who started on Monday, will assist the chief baseball officer, Joe Torre, and a senior vice president, Peter Woodfork, on issues related to discipline, rules, pace of play, umpires and special projects. Torre is a Hall of Fame manager, but he has not played a major league game in more than 40 years. Young, who turns 39 this month and holds a degree in politics from Princeton, brings a fresh perspective to the commissioner's office that it had lacked. Young in a spring training workout with the Padres this year. His recent experience as a player made him a desirable candidate for an executive position at MLB headquarters. Credit Charlie Nybergel/Associated Press. Automatically, Chris is going to be a very influential voice, Halem said, adding later, "We get a lot of our player input from the union, but it gives us a real benefit to have a player come right off the field to give ideas and perspectives we wouldn't think of." When he speaks on issues, everyone's going to be quiet and listen because he'll be the only one in the room, at least on our side, who played the game for the last 14 years. Young, who pitched for 5 teams and won a World Series ring with the 2015 Kansas City Royals, has long been interested in a front office career. His father-in-law, Dick Patrick, is the president of the Washington Capitals, and a Princeton friend, the former NHL right-wing George Parros, is the head of that league's Department of Players' Safety. He's had to levy suspensions, Young said. He said, "It's a tough job, and you're going to make some enemies, but you're trying to protect the integrity of the game and protect the way the game should be played." He said he does it with the right intent, and that's the same plan I have. Young has experience on the other side of discipline. In 2007, while pitching for San Diego, he was fined and suspended 5 games for throwing a punch at the Chicago Cubs' Derek Lee, a hulking first baseman. "That was the heavyweight division, no doubt about it," said Young, who is 6 feet 10 inches. "In the heat of the moment, you say things, you do things, you misunderstand things, and certainly now that my kids are old enough to Google that, I regret it. But it's part of the game and it happens." While discipline will make more day-to-day news, the broad strokes of Young's job may be more important. Baseball wants to appeal to younger fans who expect action, yet fewer and fewer balls are being put into play. In his new position, which includes a spot on baseball's competition committee, Young can influence any potential changes to the game. "The main goal here is to make the game better than we found it," he said. "That's what excites me and motivates me." Hall of Fame chances an image of Robinson Cano outside Safeco Field in Seattle on Tuesday, when Cano was suspended for 80 games after testing positive for a banned substance. Credit Elaine Thompson/Associated Press. When the Seattle Mariners' Robinson Cano received an 80-game drug suspension on Tuesday, it felt as if a plaque had been removed from the Hall of Fame before it even got there. Cano has been one of the most productive second basemen in Major League history, and he leads the majors in games, hits and doubles since 2009. Yet his chances for Cooperstown now look grim. While Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens have increased their vote totals in each of the last 4 writer elections, both have moved above 50%. Their ties to performance-enhancing drugs came in the era before testing, meaning they never served a suspension for drugs. Superstars caught after penalties began, in 2004, have been treated differently. Rafael Palmeiro, 3,020 hits, 569 home runs, fell off the ballot in 2014 when his support dipped below 5%. Manny Ramirez, 2,574 hits, 555 homers, made his debut with 23.8% in January 2017, and fell to 22% this year. Candidates need 75% of the votes for election. This spring, at the Mariners complex in Peoria, Arizona, Cano spoke about his chances for the Hall of Fame. He has 2,417 hits, 305 homers and a .304 average in his 14-year career. I'm focused more on having 6 more years left on the contract, and in those 6 years, I still want to be able to play second base, he said. I focus more on year by year. I mean, maybe in the next 4 years I might be sitting down and saying, you know what, maybe I have a chance now. But I'm still at, what, 2,200 or 2,300 hits? You've still got to keep adding numbers. Gary Sheffield has 500 home runs, and he's not even in. So I don't know what it takes to make it to the Hall of Fame. It would seem to make sense for teams to have the option of voiding the remainder of a player's contract after he violates the drug agreement. But while Cano will not be paid during his suspension, the rest of his 10-year, $240 million contract is guaranteed. He will have plenty of time to keep compiling numbers, but there's another benefit to the length of his contract. It runs through 2023, the year he turns 41. If he retires at the end of it, he would not appear on the ballot until December 2028. Voters need 10 years in the Baseball Writers Association of America to be eligible to cast a ballot, so some who will judge Cano have not yet participated in the process. If they take a sympathetic view of him, and if existing voters' attitudes change, Cano could still have some hope, however bleak, of election. A flap too far. When he stepped into a minor league batter's box on May 1, Mark Reynolds learned a lesson in status. Except for a brief appearance a few years ago on a rehabilitation assignment, Reynolds had taken more than 5,000 major league plate appearances since his last stint as a farmhand. But now he was playing for the Syracuse Sky Chiefs, the Class AAA affiliate of the Washington Nationals, after failing to land a job despite hitting 30 home runs for the Colorado Rockies last season. Mark Reynolds, back in the majors and wearing his preferred batting helmet. Credit Jennifer Stewart/Getty Images. The game was in Allentown, Pennsylvania, home of the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, and Reynolds had gone there from extended spring training in Florida, taking his equipment with him. That meant he was using a helmet with only one ear flap, the one facing the pitcher, as nearly every major leaguer does. This prompted a question from the umpire: "Are you on a big league rehab?" Reynolds lied and said yes, but he soon switched to the helmet all non-rehabbing minor leaguers must wear, the bulkier, two-flap helmet that seems as awkward to a major leaguer as a football with white stripes would seem to an NFL quarterback. I figured I'd earned the right to at least use my helmet, but they made a big deal of it, so when we got back home, I got a new helmet, Reynolds said. I didn't want to cause any trouble. You might think that the money, the travel accommodations or the prestige would be the best part of playing in the majors. But, Reynolds said, jokingly, we think, you would be wrong. "It's the best part of getting to the big leagues, you get the single flap, non-space helmet like they wear down there," he said, smiling. Reynolds, 34, slammed 2 home runs in his Nationals debut last Sunday in Arizona, helping his new team, his 8th in the majors, to a victory. As for his difficulty finding a team, Reynolds figures the rest of the league simply caught up with his approach. "Swing hard for home runs and live with the strikeouts." He is the active leader in strikeouts, with more than 1,800, and he set the single-season record with 223 in 2009. "I was kind of the OG of striking out," he said, meaning original gangster. "Me and Adam Dunn were the trendsetters back in the day. Maybe that's why I was out of the game. There's too many guys like me now." Gaps on the resume. The Rangers' Brandon Mann in his Major League debut last Sunday, 3 days before his 34th birthday. Credit Juan de Leon/Icon SportsWire. Via Associated Press, there are 2 missing lines on the unusual baseball itinerary of Brandon Mann, a left-handed reliever who finally reached the majors last Sunday with the Texas Rangers, nearly 16 years after Tampa Bay had drafted him in the 27th round out of a high school near Seattle. One missing line is from 2007, when Mann quit after 5 unfulfilling seasons in the low minor leagues. He worked the register at a Whole Foods back home and enrolled in community college, but soon regretted the hasty decision. The Rays signed him back the next spring. The other missing line is from 2013, after stints with farm teams of the Rays and the Dodgers, with an independent team in Maryland and 2 seasons shuttling between the majors and in the minors in Japan. Mann swears he did play in 2013, after the Nationals released him in spring training. "I actually went to play indie ball in Japan, in Nagano," Mann said. "I played for the Shinano Grandstros, but there's no way to find those stats. I guess they don't post those in English." Mann said he started that season with a 1-8 record, in a league then known as the Baseball Challenge League. His team averaged 676 fans per home game. Mann pitched better as the season went on, earning a chance to work out for the SoftBank Hawks in Japan's Major League. They did not sign him. After a brief trial with a Pirates affiliate in 2014, Mann bounced to 2 more independent teams, in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and Fargo, North Dakota. He signed with Oakland, served an 80-game suspension after testing positive for the performance-enhancing drug Ostarine, and then pitched 59 games across 2 seasons in the Athletics farm system. Mann worked out at the Driveline Baseball Complex near his home, as he had for 2 years, hoping for one more chance. The Rangers, intrigued by an online video of Mann pitching at Driveline, sent scouts to see him. "Being in Double-A at 33, it's hard for a team to take a chance on you," Mann said. "The Rangers took a big chance on me, and I knew this was probably my last opportunity with an organization if I didn't do something." At last, he did enough to get a call to the majors. After posting a 1.04 earned run average in 12 games for Class AAA Round Rock, Mann hugged his manager, Jason Wood, and his pitching coach, Brian Schaus, and was off to Houston, where he worked 1 2/3 scoreless innings in his debut. In doing so, at age 33 years 362 days, Mann became the oldest American-born pitcher to make his Major League debut since Joe Strong, who was 37 when he first pitched for the Marlins in 2000. But the reality of Mann's new life sank in 3 days later. "I told my wife all off-season, how amazing would it be if I made it to the big leagues, in Seattle, on my birthday?" he said. "My mom actually bought tickets for that day 3 weeks ago." It happened on Wednesday, when he turned 34. Mann pitched another scoreless inning and 2/3 in his hometown, in front of family and friends, right where he had watched countless games from the stands. He had finally arrived. Running on the field at Safeco Field, "It wasn't like I was nervous, but it was like, wow, this is real now," Mann said. "Half my life I've been doing this. I've been fighting for a dream. The dream's coming."